Hi, I'm Paula Flo, Executive Director of The Hitting Stops Here, a campaign for teaching kindness and respect in schools everywhere. The primary focus of today's show will be on the issue of U.S. government-sanctioned kidnapping. Fellow U.S. citizen Takeda Williams, mother of 3 boys, is in touch regularly with The Hitting Stops Here and reports that her children are being held in a place called Sunshine Residential Group Homes for Children. The location is Peoria, Arizona, and the owner is Simon Ketor of Sunshine Residential Homes. The address of this Sunshine Residential Homes is 105555 North 58th Drive, Glendale, Arizona. The zip code is 85302, and the phone number there is 623-842-4323. Mom says that one of the authoritarians at the Sunshine Residential Group Home is a Mr. Scott Williams. His number is 623-594-8345. Apparently, Mr. Scott Williams is employed at West Wing Elementary School at 26716 North High Desert Drive, Peoria, Arizona, zip code 85383. The situation that I am reporting is real. The names that I am using are also real. Mrs. Takeda Williams is in danger, and her children are in danger as well. I'd like to take a moment to read an email written to myself by Miss Takeda Williams. It is unedited except for my removing the names of her children. My son always cries a lot and very hard, stating the lady won't feed me, and when she does, sometimes she makes me eat the food with a lot of hot sauce on it, and she won't let me get any water, and she ties my arms above my head all the time for a long time, and she ties my feet up too. And Mom, that's why it hurts when you pick me up and hug me, because she chokes me too and throws me on the bed. She hurts me, Mommy, and she's so mean to me, like my teacher. And when I go to my school, the lady tells the other lady in the cafeteria not to give me nothing to eat or drink. And when I ask for some food, they say my lunch has been canceled. Then my son says, Mommy, I wasn't being bad, Mommy, and my teacher never lets me go outside either. At that moment, my son starts crying very hard and is so afraid to return back to the lady and that school teacher that he finds excuses to try to stay at the place called Aviva at 153 South Plummer in Tucson, Arizona. I would just sit there and rock my son back and forth for almost half of the visit and do my very best to comfort him with all the torment he and other children have encountered at the hands of CPS workers. To those listening who are police officers, who are lawyers, who are medical professionals, we urge you to visit our website message board located at www.thehittingstopshere.com. In the left column, you will see Message Board. Please click on that and it will open up to Takeda Williams and Sons. Please help. What is happening with Takeda and her children is becoming an epidemic problem in the USA. It impacts every American citizen. Thank you. Join us now with Dr. Chip Abadesa of Kaneohe, Hawaii, and he will talk about other issues facing American school children that are unhealthy.
But, you know, again, it's our government's involvement in subsidizing certain industries, corn, wheat, dairy, meat, etc. And it distorts what gets filtered down to our dinner table, and especially our school children, because a lot of the food sources that they receive are the ones that are subsidized by the government, you know.
Exactly.
And it doesn't always make for healthy eating.
It's very sad, and it's very important if you're a mom or if you're a dad or intend on being one. You do want to learn more. You want to read books such as the one that was written by Dr. Chip Abadessa. And one of the most important things is that we come out of that dream world that our government is on our side. If they were, children wouldn't be beaten in schools, our food would be healthy,
Our money supply would be corrupt.
Yes.
That's another issue for another day, but again, our government has really is intent on destroying our currency, unfortunately, because you can pay back debt, the massive amount of debt that we've acquired by cheapening our own, which hurts the savers, which hurts the people on the lower end of the income spectrum. It's a form of a hidden tax that we're being forced to absorb.
So parents, you cannot be out there thinking that the most important thing is the next reality show or the next technology toy to put in your child's hand. They are attacking our children. American children are under attack. We need to know that. And you can learn more about it in books such as the one authored by Dr. Chip. And I'd like you to take a moment, we're running out of time, tell them how they might be able to even get a free copy.
Well, if you visit my website, drchipabadessa.com, you can email me for a free copy. If you're here on Oahu, you can call my office at 234-5535, and I'd be happy to do the same. It's really, my book wasn't meant to be on Oprah, although that would be great. It was more or less to kind of influence those around me who can start to influence their families, and to make, it's great working in Hawaii because it's a little petri dish, and what you do here can really magnify and make a whole community healthier with something simple like this. But the odds are huge against us because we have such powerful foes in big agribusiness and big pharmacy and big government. The combination of the three is really deadly to your health, to your wallet, to your freedom. When they can come and inject you with something against your will, which is coming down the pike. I mean, they're trying to whittle away at what few exemptions they do allow for vaccination, and the doctors will, certainly do their best to put fear into you that if you don't inject your baby with this stuff, that somehow they're going to be sick, when actually just the opposite is true.
Well, you know what? Come back again. We're going to talk about how TV may also be hurting your children. Dr. Chip, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Paul. It was great.
Join the Hitting Stops here for awareness events coming up in the months of April and May 2013 for the Ending Corporal Punishment in Schools Act, a U.S. federal protective bill for American school children. And we'd like to have you learn more by visiting our website, thehittingstopshere.com. Click on Facebook, found in the left column, to learn more. Hello, thank you so much for joining me here on America Speaks Blog Talk Radio, where America gets to speak. My name is Paula Flo, and I'm your show hostess. And today I have a very special guest with myself, and his name is Mr. A. Protester. And he represents U.S. citizens in this country who want the standard of justice, equal justice under the law. The very words engraved right at the top of the U.S. Supreme Court. And I have a number of questions for him. He's so well learned in what's going on in the USA. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Mr. A. Protester, first of all, can you tell me, you've been outside of the U.S. Supreme Court now for how long?
Since October 3rd.
Of this year?
Correct.
Okay, and my first question is, why are you here?
I have an original jurisdiction case that hasn't been heard. Next year is 20 years without due process of law. So what happens is that when a state passes laws that are unconstitutional, that's one thing. But then when they know that they're unconstitutional and they might suffer being struck down, and they decide to double down by passing an article in their state constitution to protect them through a firewall of states' rights and sovereign immunity, they become a vested interest, and therefore as a party to the cause, they are incompetent to take jurisdiction. And under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Establishment Clause, which places all judicial power in the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court takes jurisdiction under the theorem of original jurisdiction when a state is a party to the cause. So what's happened is the court clerk and judge know that these laws are going to be struck down. They know it's the end of states' rights and sovereign immunity, and so they're refusing to stamp the notice of appeal because their laws are going to be struck down and states' rights and sovereign immunity are in play. So I just want to encourage Americans to do what they should always do in times of trouble, which is revisit the Constitution. It's a funny thing how, just like the Bible, as you become wise, the wisdom of the Bible seems to increase. Well, as you read the Constitution and become wiser, it seems the Founding Fathers become a lot wiser as well. It's a mysterious thing, but I notice that happens. If you read the 10th Amendment, you'll notice that it says states and people's powers. If you read the 9th Amendment, it says people's rights. So we have two amendments, one dealing with rights, one dealing with powers. People are in both, but states are only in one. I don't think the Founding Fathers ran out of ink. I think if the Founding Fathers intended states to have rights, they would have put people and states' rights in the 9th Amendment the same way they put people and states' powers in the 10th, where they would have conflated the two and had one amendment, people and states' rights and powers. But clearly they did not. States do not have right. The only reason they say that states have rights is because they need to play a slow hand. They have to be subtle at committing treason, and in order to acquire a doctrine like sovereign immunity, which is appropriate only for the monarchy and an absolute monarch that we overthrew, they need some kind of vehicle, and states' rights is the vehicle through which they acquire this sovereign immunity in order for the Supreme Court to deny cases from being heard, in order to deny and disparage the people's God-given rights.
Interesting, and it makes me really have to think about why every time I go to a U.S. governing official on the federal level, they tell me to go to a state representative, as opposed to they're helping the case of ending USA school beatings. They say, oh, go to each state. Imagine if that's what they did when they tried to end slavery. My next question to you is, I heard something about Bobby Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, and something going on that is impacting our world today. Could you help me understand that? Are you familiar with that?
Sure. When you look at the Kennedy assassinations, basically there's a famous saying that they've etched onto, I believe it's the National Archives, very close to the Supreme Court here, downtown on the way to the White House. And it says, what's past is prologue. I think if you do not put traitors in check, then they go on to bigger and better things, if you want to call it that. And what happened with John Kennedy was that Diamana is the nuclear facility, the fake nuclear facility that the Israelis said to him when Ben-Gurion sat in the Oval Office, told John Kennedy that it was a peaceful, power plant. They lied about that. It was never intended to develop nuclear power. It was, in fact, a nuclear weapons facility. And so they made a fake Diamana when John Kennedy sent inspectors around there. And John Kennedy found out. He found out that Ben-Gurion was lying. They were passing letters back and forth for quite a long time over this issue because John Kennedy was a wise guy. And just to frame this in historical context, we all know about the Cuban Missile Crisis, but 50 years later, a lot of people still don't realize that how good a call Kennedy made when he said, look, I told you guys in the CIA before you went into the Bay of Pigs, before you went into Cuba, that I was not going to give you air support. And then, of course, Alan Dulles and the rest of the boys set him up for the drive-by by saying he betrayed them, when really, from the get-go, he told them, look, you sold me a plan. That was the deal in the plan. I wouldn't send air support. I wouldn't acknowledge this because I didn't want to get in a hot war with Russia over this because they have nuclear bombs. And you guys sold me a bill of goods, and now you're saying that, I did something shady, and that's not the fact. It was such a good call because 50 years later we find out, and a lot of people don't understand this, that they already had tactical nuclear weapons in Cuba. Those tactical weapons were already there. What the Cuban Missile Crisis that we know about up until this point, we were looking at the intercontinental ballistic missiles. We were worried that they were putting ICBMs in Cuba and that they were rushing back. If Kennedy had done what his generals so much wanted him to do, what the people that killed him wanted him to do, then Florida would have been hit with nuclear bombs. Now that's a fact. So he made a great call back then. We only find out about it 50 years later. But once again, people who love Jesus are for peace, right? And they're for peace and prosperity because they know God will make a way. These people that have Jesus on their lips and war profiteering anarchy in their hearts, well, they commit treason too. So let me tie this up with the question you asked because I needed to give you some historical background. Mm-hmm. John Kennedy made another good call, and that was over Diamana. He knew that if the state of Israel got nuclear weapons, exactly what's happening today would happen. which is Israel is running everybody over. They're blaming them all as if they're the victims, but they're the ones with the nuclear weapons, and they're just killing people. They put 1 million cluster bombs in Lebanon last time they go in. Cluster bombs don't ask people, by the way, are you a terrorist before they go off. It's a war crime because 1 million cluster bombs kill children. They kill civilians. So John Kennedy was trying to shut down Diamana, and he told Ben-Gurion very clearly that there would be no nuclear bomb for Israel. Well, Ben-Gurion stepped down, Levi Eshkol came in, John Kennedy sent him a letter saying, look, we're coming in early summer. It was already July 5th or 6th when he sent this letter. We're coming every 6 months because that's how long it takes to take peaceful uranium and turn it into weapons grade. And we're going to keep coming every 6 months to make sure you don't have a nuclear bomb. Well, when Ben-Gurion retired after he got a letter from Kennedy in June of 1963, they started planning the Dallas trip. And of course, everybody's been blamed for the Kennedy assassination. I'm surprised they didn't accuse me of being part of the conspiracy from my mother's womb telepathically. I mean, it's just crazy. But the one finger they never point is to Israel, the state of Israel, and about their nuclear program. Now, nobody's going to say that the nuclear program in Israel isn't important to the Israelis, and yet nobody's ever tied together the fact that John Kennedy was shutting that down and that there's letters that prove that until, like, I think it was 1990 when somebody wrote a book, and of course they're denying and disparaging the guy's validity, the facts he's written, calling him anti-Semitic and a conspiracy theorist, but he's not. He's just a guy writing facts. So I encourage you to go get that book. All you got to do is Google Diamana, JFK, and the assassination, and I think you'll find that it was the Mossad, the state of Israel, the CIA, and traitors in the American government that killed both John and Bobby Kennedy. Now, they liked Bobby Kennedy. They didn't want to kill him, but as soon as his ticket was punched in California and he was going to become president, they had to get rid of him because that's the way they look at it. Now, one of the political fallouts of this heinous act of treason is the fact that the Israelis couldn't test their bomb because they didn't want anybody to know about it. In fact, even today they say they didn't get the bomb till 73 when they had it in 65. So they got China to test their bomb for them, and that's why Kissinger and Nixon started helping the hardliners in China, and that's why we continue with that policy today. It's payback for them testing the bomb for Israel, and that's how powerful the Israel lobby has gotten here in America. They get money from Americans, and then they use that money to enslave Americans and to control their political system so that they will be traitors and will be loyal to Israel instead of America. So it's pretty egregious. Now, the way Americans do business is we're supposed to use our economic power to get human rights in foreign countries. So if we approach China, we would say to the hardliners, look, man, you're not getting any economic benefit until we see some human rights. And then what they do is they think they're getting over on us, and we think that's all right. And they put a puppet in power, like Obama's a puppet, and Clinton's a puppet, and Bush is a puppet. And so they put this puppet in power, and he's a moderate. And they think they're getting over on us. But we play this game because over time, we cement the moderates into power by giving them terra firma to stand on, and slowly but surely the light starts to spread, and one day the moderates outnumber the hardliners, and then they take over. And that's the way we alleviate our brothers and sisters around the world that live in dictatorships from totalitarian regimes and help them get republic and democracy. So that's the way we do business. We use economics to give terra firma to the moderates. We don't do it to the hardliners. So we're going in the opposite direction with these friendly dictators around the world that we support, and that's all because of the same paradigm of structural adjustment programs, the World Bank, enslaving people to hand over their resources and control the country to the corporal fascists, because we believe in capitalism, not corporal fascism here in America. Diamana is the Israel nuclear plant that was supposedly for peaceful purposes, but it turns out John Kennedy made a good call and was correct about that it was for weapons, and that's how the Israelis got the nuclear bomb, which was a very bad day for everybody.